All right, y'all. Before we dive in, a quick heads up.
This show is raw, real, and definitely not rated PG.
We're talking about adult themes, sexual content, and the kind of stuff you probably don't want blasting through your speakers at work or around your kids.
So grab some headphones, pour your drink of choice, and get comfy.
Oh, and just so we're clear, we are not licensed therapists, counselors, or sex coaches. Sex coaches,
Sex coaches.
not sex couches.
We're just a couple of people sharing our lives experiences and sexy adventures and ethical non-monogamy. So with that, pull up a chair and enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond Monogamy. I'm Adam.
And I'm Pris.
And tonight, we've got some serious lifestyle voices joining us. You've heard of them, you've seen their content, and chances are you've already tuned into their show. It's the duo behind the Swing Nation, Northern Guy and Southern Girl, Dan and Lacy.
These two are more than just podcasters. They're building a community, creating spaces for swingers, and giving people a fresh, positive perspective on what non-monogamy looks like today.
Absolutely. Dan brings charisma, humor, and that ex-military energy that listeners connect with.
And Lacy brings a bold, authentic voice that cuts through the noise. She says what needs to be said and does it with style.
And together they host the Swing Nation, a top-rated podcast by swingers for swingers, where they shed a positive light on the lifestyle, push back on old stigmas, and give real-world advice from their own journey.
We're excited to dig into their story, their relationship, and the pulse of the lifestyle community right now.
So Dan and Lacy, welcome to Beyond Monogamy.
Welcome,
Thank
guys.
you.
That was quite the intro.
That was fun. That was fun. Hey,
Y'all,
I always like to build up our guests, and you guys are really just awesome. We're so happy y'all are here. Really.
Happy to
Oh,
have
thank
guys.
you. Thank you.
So-
Appreciate you having us. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we're just gonna dive right in. We're just a couple of lifestyle couples
Mhm.
having a good conversation. And frankly, if we were sitting at the table together, which I
Yeah.
like to think we are,
We've been doing this.
my first question would really be, how did the Swing Nation even get its start? Like, where did this little bean come from?
Oh man, that could be a whole podcast episode.
Yeah. I mean, it started because we were a real lifestyle couple, and Dan was deployed, and we were trying to find a sexy outlet because we decided we would not play without each other while he was deployed. So we were like, okay, so what do we do? Because we like to have a lot of sex and we like to do all these naughty things. And so we just were trying to make it work. And honestly, he was driving me crazy. I was like, okay, I'm going to get skinny while he's gone. I'm going to I'm going to do all these things. And he was just like a horn dog by, wanting all these pictures and videos and stuff. And so I was like, we gotta figure this out because you're driving me nuts. And so he came up with the idea of starting an OnlyFans. And what was your reasoning behind it? I mean, we all know swingers take pictures, right?
Right. It's
We
kind
take
of automatic.
videos.
All day, every
Yeah,
day.
so we had all of these pictures and stuff. And I was also taking new ones for him.
Yeah, so this was during COVID. I was overseas, with the Army, and OnlyFans was just starting to kind of expand into what it is today.
Oh,
And so I was like, well, that could be a way. Like, you could take the picture, because we're about, it was like 10, 12-hour difference time-wise. So having these naughty conversations were difficult because, she was just waking up as I was going to bed. So it was kind of hard to get on the same page. So I was like, well, if you just take pictures, take videos whenever, and then post it, I can go and I can see that whenever I want. And in addition to that, it will feel a little bit like swinging because maybe other guys will see it, or other couples will see it, and they can comment and I can read that. So it was kind of like this little sexy, a way for me and her to flirt with each other and kind of share sexy images, but maybe a little bit different than just, texting each other back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, in my name, let's talk about the name. So my name on OnlyFans was the Southern Girl because on our SLS, or all of our swinger profiles, we were Northern Guy and Southern Girl, which was just something that we had kind of came up with. So my OnlyFans name was a Southern Girl. And so really there was no plan to make money. It
No.
was more just
Yeah.
like to have a sexy outlet. And then I thought, well, heck, if I can get my nails done, and
Right.
get like my hair done for free, hell yeah. And so, but then Dan doesn't like halfway do anything. He either goes all the way in or we don't do it at all.
Yeah.
And so he started researching, like, because you have to drive people to your OnlyFans. It's not
Yeah.
like a For You page or something like that where you scroll. So
Mhm.
he came up with the great idea of starting a TikTok. And truthfully, we were just two millennials that really did not understand TikTok. Now, we were watching TikToks just like the rest of the world was during COVID, but we weren't making TikToks or anything like that. It was really just,
Yeah, I think the only reason I downloaded TikTok initially is because when my kids sent me videos, so I could watch
You
them.
couldn't
Yeah.
watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I should get one of those.
so he actually like made our first TikTok, and the name was The Southern Girl to kind of match. And he was like, take a pineapple and flip it upside down because that's swinger. That's our, we are
Yeah.
swingers. That's sexy. That people will like that. And so I, without hesitation, flipped that pineapple right upside down. I think I sent him the video, and he uploaded it, and something like the third video hit 11 million views.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, y'all. I remember that. I remember all like the beginning of all of
Yeah,
that. Watching
yeah.
y'all. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were very quickly kind of thrown sort of out of the closet, if you will. Like nobody knew we were swingers. We were very typical swinger couple, private. I was lying to people when we were going out of town. We had made up all kinds of stories of as where we were going. And so we were outed very quick. And at first we tried to put it back in. We were like,
We
This-
actually deleted that
yeah, we
TikTok.
deleted
Yeah.
it. I cried. I was just, not so much, I wasn't embarrassed at being a swinger. I was embarrassed that like people were talking, like other people were
The
telling other
judgment.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was proud of like, but I wanted to be able to tell people. I didn't want that story to be told for me.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
he's all the way across the world and completely disconnected. So I felt it was a rough time, let's just say. But then eventually, like a few weeks later, or once the initial shock wore off, I was like, okay, let's do it again. And he was
Yeah.
like, there's no way.
Well, there was
Yeah.
like, well, there's no way to put this genie back in the bottle. Like everybody knows now.
Yeah.
There's
It's
nothing
too late,
you can
yeah.
do.
Just needed
May
like
as
some
well own it.
time.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just needed some time to kind of work through those emotions.
So we came to the realization that we're just going to own this and
Mhm.
fuck what people think. And
Yeah.
yeah, we started posting again. And I thought no way it was going to blow up like it did the first time. I thought that was just some kind of like lightning struck and it would never happen again. But sure enough, very quickly when we started posting on TikTok again, it blew up again. And we kept doing that while we were overseas. And then when I came home,
That's where the podcast was.
Right.
That's where so before that, we were always just like the
TikTok
Southern
couple,
girl.
yeah.
Yeah. And so around the time Dan was getting home, people were just like craving information on swingers. Like they just wanted anything. They want to know, how do we deal with jealousy? And or how do we deal with all the things you can think of? And we were no experts by any means, but we were a real life couple. And we were like, Dan was like, we should do a podcast. And I was like, this is typical.
I think
her-
people on TikTok had suggested
Yeah.
she would go
Yeah.
TikTok live and she would answer questions and she'd get the same dozen questions over and over and over
Where
again.
do I start?
Okay.
Where do I
And the
start?
Yeah.
problem with TikTok, even on TikTok live, you only have people, they're scrolling. So you got their attention for maybe a minute, right? And then they're
Yeah.
on to the next thing.
Mhm.
And so it was really hard to go in depth about a lot of these conversations because a lot of them are complicated. It's not something you can explain in a minute.
Right.
And because we kept getting the same questions over and over and over again, it was like, well, if we answered this question in a long form podcast format, and then when people ask us on social media, how do you deal with jealousy? We can literally say, go listen to episode 2, right? Like just
Right.
go listen to it and we'll explain it to you.
Mhm.
It's too much to dive into right here on TikTok. And so that's kind of why we started the podcast,
Yeah.
was to answer those questions that we kept getting over and over and over again and having a reference that we could give people to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you came up with the Swing Nation name. I don't know where that came from. Did you just like pull it out of thin air or something?
Basically,
I think it was
That's
actually
how it all
against
happens.
it.
Yeah.
I think I wanted it to just be like Northern Guy and Southern Girl, and you were like, we are. But that's like kind of our
It's
relationship.
a brand, It's
Yeah.
a really
Yeah,
good brand.
Yeah, he comes up with the idea and I push back. I'm like, that's terrible. That's sort of like how we work. He comes up with the great ideas. I'm like, I don't know. Then he proves me wrong. And then I have to say, you were right.
Well, I think if I remember, I was like, I want it to be bigger than just us. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want this to be like
Mhm.
the Dan and Lacy show. I want it to
Mhm.
be about like the larger community.
Yeah.
And so to me, the larger community is, a nation of swingers, a swing nation,
Yeah.
like, so that's
Yeah.
kind of where that branding came from. And
That was smart. I
Yeah.
mean, now you
That
were
is
right.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were right.
After all these,
Yeah.
you were right.
Yeah.
And we got that recorded, by the way.
Yeah, and so now it's been 4 years. I don't know how many episodes there were, like 300 or something.
Yeah.
We now do Tuesday talks, so it is a shorter version of our podcast on Tuesdays. And listeners or people write in or
call in.
call in. We have a voicemail and they could text it, and we answer in quick format people's questions. So those episodes are about 20 minutes, and people have Tuesday Talks is slowly taking over. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
people really relate to that. We love going out and meeting people, and they're like, "Oh, we were the person we called in for this." And so it's been a fun experience. We kind of did it on a whim, not knowing what would happen, and it's been great.
Yeah. That when people like stop you and say like, oh, I sent an email or I'm the
Mhm.
person, does that
Mhm.
really is it shocking still? Is it like, oh wow, people
Yeah,
actually
no, it
recognize-
is.
Yeah.
No, it is. It for me as like a female,
Mhm.
I'm pretty open about like my anxiety and when I struggle. I feel like the more vulnerable I get, the more reaction I get. So when other women come up to me and I'm like, oh my God, thank you for saying that. Thank you for being bold. Because that's what touches me more than
Yeah.
anything. It's like I think they feel seen and like heard. But then when they come up and tell me that, I feel seen and I feel heard. So like we're validating each other somehow.
Totally get
And
that. Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
like
it's
that.
for me, it's been like really rewarding. I also don't listen to the podcast because for that very I would like overthink it and overanalyze it. So it's been really nice to
Yeah.
get a lot of that positive feedback. I really appreciate it.
Now, Dan, do you listen to the podcast?
Oh yeah, about 100 times. Anyway, so I do all the
So does
editing.
Nice.
me. I don't listen to it at all.
I do
I,
too.
I listen to it in audio and then video and then short clips and then reels and yeah.
And then at
I've-
the end, like the finished product, when you
Yeah.
on
Oh,
live
yeah.
with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I listen to each episode probably about a dozen times.
Did at
Yeah.
the beginning though. I think I stopped. We did an episode on jealousy, and I think during it I said I would cut a bitch, and then I listened to it back, and I was like, I sound ridiculous. And then I like over analyzed everything I said, and I was like, I just don't think it's worth like talk. I don't think it's worth putting myself through that. So a lot of times we'll say stuff, and then people will come up and be like, I can't believe you said that. Or like it might be even about them. It could be our friends. Or like, you said that. Like I called one of our friends a Jehovah Witness. Look, he said he looked like a Jehovah Witness in his outfit that he wore to the swingers club.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, I can't believe you said that. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot I said that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's
So it's
Yeah.
kind of fun though. It can, sometimes things happen. I'm like, oh, sorry. I love you though.
oh man, I always put my foot in my mouth and I'm like, are you
Yeah.
gonna edit that? And I'll like listen to it with him because I don't listen to it by myself. And I'll be
Mhm.
like, really? You didn't edit that?
There's a lot of times I
I
leave a
always
lot of
think
it.
I'm gonna cut
you know,
somebody. So we're okay. It's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's kind
honestly,
of our balance.
our podcasts are pretty unscripted. There's sometimes we'll just mess up talking. And we'll have
Yeah.
to repeat what we said, and I'll fix that. But as far as like editing actual content out,
Mhm.
very little of it
Yeah.
ever gets edited out. It's pretty raw and unscripted most of our episodes.
Yeah.
Usually, if we have to fix something, it's like we forgot the theme, and we're sitting there, we're looking at each other, like, "What the fuck was the theme? I can't
Yeah.
remember." It's like
Oh my God, same.
low,
Yeah.
low something. I don't know. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Mhm.
Now, as far as you guys as a couple, what are your non-negotiables, would you say, as a couple in the lifestyle?
So as far as us engaging with other couples,
Yeah.
Yes.
Because y'all
Yeah, so
only
our-
play together, right?
well,
We've played separate.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It just
Okay.
hasn't went well for us
Yeah.
for the most part. So we typically are a same room full swap couple. There is some gray area in that though, depending on our friends and also where
Yeah.
we're at. Like if we're in the same house and I, walk to the kitchen, I don't say you have to stop while I go to the kitchen to get a sip of water, So there is some gray area, but for the most part, we're same room, full swap couple.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then really our other biggest rules are always use protection, and then any messaging we do. So if we're talking to a couple, via text or whatever, we like it to be a group chat. So we don't like to do side conversations.
Yeah.
Those are basically our rules.
Yeah, and I think as we've done more, those have kind of that's where like a lot of that grayer area has came in because, for example, now we're like hosting events and a lot of times we're like being pulled in two different places. So, for example, at Secrets just a few weeks ago, I went to the room to relax while he was like assisting ladies on the motor bunny, so there's definitely great. I think because we've ingrained ourselves so much in the lifestyle and we are so involved in so many aspects, sometimes we kind of just go with the flow. And for the most part, that works for us, but always protection for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never a time that we're not using protection. The other two can
They kind
be great.
whenever you're comfortable, they just kind of like,
Mhm.
they're there just in
Mhm.
case. But yeah,
Mhm.
same.
Yeah, well, we recently just did what we call our Wednesday episodes, a quickie episode, because
Mhm.
it's normally about 30 minutes long. And the topic we did was when one is sought after more than the other.
Mhm.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I guess the feels that it produces. I'm kind of curious about y'all as a couple in that situation, where you notice a couple has vocalized respectfully that they're more interested in one over the other. Do you find that you get sour? Do you find that it's if it's respectful, it's okay? Or like, how do you guys feel about all that?
I would like to say that I handle it well when that happens because I do that to people all the time.
Yeah.
Dan definitely likes playing more than I do, but I am totally okay with like being there and being around and vibing and living my best life, but not actually having sex and just letting him continue going. So I hope that if somebody does that to us, that I'm okay with it. What would you say, babe?
I would say in probably most relationships, the wife is probably the more sought after person.
I would say
Yeah,
you were.
that's
I don't think that's true. Like, okay,
I would
when
say
it
you
comes to a playroom,
You
like who
are.
has sex with more people, maybe
The
me,
female.
but I don't know if it's actually people are actively pursuing me more than you. Yeah.
You're
I'm just a bigger whore than you when we actually get to the playroom. But as far as like people pursuing you,
Yeah.
you're probably more sought after than
I don't know.
I am. And I think that's normal though. I think most, and there might be a few exceptions to that, but in a lot of relationships it is the female.
Disagree because I feel like finding a guy in the lifestyle
Mhm.
that has a good dick, that can stay hard,
Mhm.
that can provide a good time for the wife is harder to find,
Yeah.
especially like in group play scenarios,
It's
which
true,
we
yeah.
tend to do a lot of.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times the women, they want you, babe.
Well,
I mean,
It makes me feel good.
I do
makes
understand
me
that.
feel
No,
good, yeah.
that is
Yeah.
We've actually had this discussion before
yeah,
because I'm
that
like,
makes sense.
dude, let's be realistic. The lifestyle is woman centric.
Yes.
And
Right.
It
so
is.
oftentimes that's what is the sought after, especially in couples.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
but women kind of run it, and women want, if you're going to do it, let's do it right. They
Right.
want somebody that's
Yes.
hard, that wants to be there, that makes them feel beautiful. And I think that you do a very good job of that. I think people want me because,
You're hot.
well, that and because of the podcast and because of everything. I think that there's a different, like, I don't know how to say
Yeah.
that
No,
without
no, I
coming
get it.
across,
Yeah.
We have come
I-
to this point, and I don't know how it is with you guys, but we do struggle now that when people approach us, we do always have in the back of our mind, is this authentic?
Yeah.
Or is this somebody that's looking like clout
Yes.
chasing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's such a weird feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
want to still feel like we're just Dan and Lacy, we're just a normal couple like everybody else, and we're on the same playing field as everybody else. And if people approach us that it's in an authentic manner, but we've had people come up to us and straight say, like, how do I get on the podcast? Like, hey,
Oh.
if I
Yeah.
fuck you, can I be on the next episode? And it's like, no, that's not. that-
now you're
No,
not.
yeah, definitely not. Like,
yeah,
not
yeah,
now.
exactly. And I've actually we've had people straight up say, "Hey, we just want to fuck the people that are on the podcast."
And
And
it's
it's
like,
like,
Yeah, same.
what?
Yeah,
No.
like we're like, now you're not. And we've even had somebody that we met and we told them like our whole life story, and we really felt like it was a genuine good connection. And he felt he did such a good job, and I was so like, it was a great experience. And then I get up and he was like, I just love the podcast so much, and I was like, I felt tricked.
Yeah.
I was just like. But I just sat here and told you everything like you didn't know me. And it felt, I don't know, I felt like duped in a
Yeah.
way. So,
almost like your time was
Um,
wasted.
yeah, I mean, I had a great time. I just wish I felt like misled, I guess
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
correct word. So we definitely have to like navigate that. And I think a lot of times lately, we find ourselves playing with a lot of the same couples because of that. And that's not to say we don't add new couples in, because we do. We 100% do. But it's almost like our friends have vetted them for us
Yeah,
because we don't
it's
have
a
to
weird thing
do
where now we're almost like worried that people are gonna go out and say stuff, like try to put stuff on Reddit or like, like
Yeah.
kind of, like take advantage of the
Oh,
situation,
yeah.
which is a crazy place to be in. Like
It's crazy to say that out loud,
I didn't even
like,
think
Yeah.
about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've told Dan, I was like, you have to be careful who you chat with, because like all it takes is one crazy girl, and girls are crazy, you know.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience,
Yes,
I know
we
how
are.
I am.
Yeah.
So all that definitely affects when you start a podcast. That's not something somebody says to you. Like, you want it to be successful and you want it to reach a lot of people, but you don't. We didn't know idea what we were getting
Yeah,
ourselves
but
into.
unfortunately, we've had some falling outs very publicly with people
Yeah.
over the years, and they go through their phone and find everything that you've said on a screenshot that they possibly can find, and then somehow that finds its way to Reddit and places like that. And now, Lacy's on TikTok live trying to explain some random text from
Oh,
3 years
wow.
ago, and it's like, man, this is just not what we thought we signed up for.
Yeah, I mean, the truth was, we were just a swinging couple who were just. I mean, we definitely once we got the audience, we made a decision to lean into it and kind of went that route. I mean, it just so happened that I lost my job and Dan was retiring from the military at the perfect time to kind of set the stage for us to pursue this. But it's just not. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah, it is a crazy area.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are doing
Y'all are doing
fantastic.
amazing. I
It's
mean,
Thank
really
you.
incredible
like I
what
said,
you guys are doing.
I've been following you guys for a while, and
Thank you.
it's
So you've seen some of the drama in the screenshots, then.
I haven't seen any of that. I think what
Yeah.
I was going to tell you is that I did just recently come across, and I think this video has just been on and on and on. It's where Dan says, y'all are getting interviewed by somebody, and Dan says, I think I've always been monogamous or non-monogamous. Like I've always,
Yeah.
like you've always had that
Yeah.
inside of you. Adam is the same way. He's always
Yeah.
been like, if we could go back to poly, he'd be like, I'm poly. Like that's just my brain. And me, I'm not necessarily was like that. I always had one guy, one person. I mean, when I was younger, but when I was married, it was like one. I mean,
Yeah,
I
same
guess
for
it
me.
matters.
No, same
Yeah.
for me. When I was married, we were both previously married, and I was faithful my entire marriage. Just like once I commit, I can make that commitment and stick to it. Now,
Yeah.
did I date around and then probably was once I was single, and probably was entertaining way too many guys? Yes. But when I'm in a relationship, I'm like you, I can commit and stick to it. Now,
Yeah.
Dan questions me because when he says, I think I was always non-monogamous. And I'm like, I think I could do it again. He's like, I don't think you can. I'm like, I think I could.
Well, the funny thing about Lacy, we do a lot of events, we do a lot of things, and I get not blamed, but usually it's like, oh yeah, it's Dan that's driving all that bullshit. Like if we get one free weekend, Lacy is trying to find. She wants to go to Trapeze, she wants to go to Paradise Valley or Club Tempted, so like. She says that, she's like, oh, I could be monogamous. And it's like, well, how come every time we have a free weekend, you're trying to go to a swingers party? That's
Social aspect.
Yeah.
I really do.
Say, the
Yeah.
socialize and
Well, see, I have social anxiety, and that's where I really struggled, especially with all of this now,
Which is
because
kinda
when we go
crazy.
places, it's
because
like,
you have the same.
I do too. I was about to say it's
Huh.
crazy, and people do not understand that about me. They see me on TikTok and they see me talking. They're like, "There's no way that this girl freaks out in crowds or around a lot of people," but I 100% do.
yeah,
But I think what bothers me is the attention that the podcast has brought and the stigma that I have to like be a certain way or I'm going to be called, like it's the
Yeah.
negatives that
you always
come
have
with
to
it.
be on.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
kind of built up like a social anxiety wall for me. But like going and hanging out with my friends, absolutely, I love that. And that's the things I want to do. I don't want to like add events or I don't want to like throw more parties. I want to go and tell nobody we're going and then just slip away and go to the trapeze for the night with
There
our
you
best
go.
friends. So I think that's the difference that Dan doesn't see there.
Yeah.
But he's the social butterfly, not me.
I do like going to a club. We have clubs here in I think you've heard of them. There's one in Oklahoma also. It's called Eden.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we usually like to hang out, and it's just fun because we get a little couch, we have a little
Yeah.
area. It's our little safe space. And
Yeah.
Gotta
people
have
will
your
come
safe
say
place.
hi, and then it's like, okay, we're only there for a couple of hours, and then we just usually leave,
Yeah.
unless someone's having a party or something.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not a night owl. I'm early
Yeah.
in the morning. I'm up. I'm ready to go.
I mean, we get up at 4 a.m.
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah, we are
I'm
totally
usually going to bed around that time.
we are night owls. Dan is later than I am, but
Yeah.
we are like midnight, 2 a.m. type people.
We got 4 kids, and
Yeah.
we still got some kids here
Yeah.
at home, you know.
Yeah.
But
Make sure everybody's awake for school.
they're all high schoolers, you know. But
Yeah.
we still got to do the early morning thing.
I
I'm
get
so
it. I do too. I have a high schooler. Dan's
She
kid.
gets up and takes him to school and then comes back to bed.
Yeah.
He says that. I do not. I've not been back to bed any days this week, and it's Wednesday,
Oh, good.
and I won't go back to bed tomorrow because I might be able to.
a little nap in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are y'all liking this community that you've built? I mean, I know that we talked about the social anxiety aspect of it whenever you go certain places, but just knowing that you have this very large community that you've built up, it's gotta kind of tug at you a little bit that these people really have taken to you guys, and that says a lot about your personalities and you as people, and you know, that's just what are your thoughts on that? You know.
I think it's hard to even for me now to really wrap my head around it. You know what I mean? The community is huge. I mean, we have a Discord server with close to 50,000 people on it.
Wow.
You know, multiple social media pages that have tens of thousands of people that are subscribed to the different communities on Facebook and Reddit and places like that. So it's really hard.
Like our events. I mean, we're about to sell out secrets in like a week or two.
Yeah.
We have 3 rooms left for April. So
Yeah, and then you go somewhere like a Secrets, and there's almost 1,000 people there. So it's crazy to really stop and think about that, and kind of what going back to what you said before. Almost every event we go to now, somebody will walk up to us and be like, "Hey, we're in the lifestyle because we listened to your podcast," or "We're
So
in the lifestyle because we saw Lacy on TikTok," and it's very touching and it's very rewarding, but it's still almost hard to comprehend that. I
Yeah.
think you're still a little bit, it's almost like an out of body experience. You're like, hey, look at those people doing that thing. Oh, wait, that is me that's doing that. Like, I don't, and I think we're so wrapped up into it that it's just sometimes it's hard to step back and really
to make
look at the big picture of it overall.
Yeah.
But we started this 4 or 5 years ago. Our mission statement hasn't changed. Is we want to shed a positive light on this community. We want to show the world that swingers are not what you think they are. They're your moms and your dads and the lawyers and the doctors and the teachers and the cops, and they're just like everybody else. And oh, by the way, 5% of the population is actively involved in this community, right? So it's like over 10 million people in America are living this lifestyle day to day, and you just don't know it. So I think being a couple that can kind of speak for people that are a little forgotten about or can't speak for themselves, I put a lot of value in that. And I think, some of that goes back to me being in the military and fighting. Essentially, I look at it as fighting for freedom and losing friends in that fight. And then still seeing that there's 10 million Americans that can't live as their authentic self. Well, then how are we a free country? So that it strikes a chord in me in a way that I can't really even explain in words, but it really means a lot to me. And, we get criticism as well. We're fake swingers and we're just here to make money. And we're just trying to get popular and sell OnlyFans. And that's, if people want to believe that, that's fine. But at the end of the day, we care more about this community than I can even put in words. And we've sacrificed in ways that I don't think people will ever understand.
Yeah.
But I think it's been worth it every step of the way. And I would never do it. I wouldn't do it any different.
That's
Well,
awesome.
plus, when you're a content creator, it's really hard to be an active swinger when you have people constantly coming up, and especially if you're like us, where connection is the number one thing that kind of fuels that, and we really go for people with a connection there. You don't know if they're trying to work their way in because they want to be with the person on the content.
Yeah.
And so things get a lot harder from there, and I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like, you guys sell out these events, and I'm curious, what do like, are y'all at the center of the events? Like, are there's different things that go on, or like, is it
So we
just
have
a
a staff. We have a
Okay.
we have a staff now. It's not a huge staff, but a staff because being the face of
Yeah.
Swinger
Yeah.
Society,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
brand, they want to see us having fun. And if we're not having fun, they're going to tell us.
Right.
We're going to hear about it. And so that's like a hard thing. It's good because it's easy for me to come online and say, hey, I'm going to be here, buy some tickets. You know, if you think of all these other brands, hotel takeovers and stuff, you don't really know who's behind them, you know, because they don't have their face. And so it's kind of double-edged sword. It works and it helps us sell things. But on the flip side, we still have to like be an active part of the party.
Mhm.
So having that staff so that way we can disconnect and have fun and dance with everybody and mingle in the pool and do all of those things. It's definitely something we've had to work towards. It doesn't come super easy. I will say, even if we're having fun, we're watching. You know,
Yeah.
we're making sure that somebody's not too drunk or that,
Mhm.
you know, the DJ we see the next DJ in line to come up or the lights are on so I don't think we are ever off. It just, we've had to put good people in to help us and to kind of get that done.
Yeah, it's the events is a lot. I MC, I DJ, but if there's a room problem, the AC goes out, that they call my phone. So there's so many things that are going on kind of behind the scenes, and then you're MCing, you're DJing, you're running the event, and then you're also supposed to be in the pool socializing and
Yeah.
hanging out with
Right.
people and
Yeah.
showing them that you're a fun person to be around, and I'm not, like I care about you and I want to hang, like
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
You get pulled in 100 different directions.
We do better than others, you know, to be honest with you. Sometimes we're just like so happy to see our friends and we're just like, oh, we're just happy for you. You know, he's much better at it than I am. He's really good about like making a laugh and talking to people. My social anxiety, I'm just like, I just want to sit here and talk to my friends. I don't have to say the right things or do the right things. So it's a give or take. You know, sometimes we do better than others, but we always have really good intentions
Yeah,
and
we are very much, I think, front and center at
Yeah.
our events. I
Yeah.
mean, we're the
Yeah.
ones hosting the pool
That's
party.
awesome.
We're usually the ones in the middle of the dance floor, almost all night. We're very present in those events.
but even our favorite events are the ones that we are not hosting.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you that. So like how do you pick your parties and your clubs? Like before you say yes, like are you already going there and you're already planning that?
It
And
kind of depends because when we first started, these clubs and these parties were like, "Who are you? Why?" You know, like we would come and be like, "We're coming," and we have a TikTok following, and they would like almost laugh at us and be like, "Okay," and then we would show up, and there would like,
Be an extra 100 people would show up with us.
"Oh."
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, it kind of started out, we would just go to our favorite places and then we would be like,
Just
hey,
tell people we were going.
here. And and so it's kind of somehow morphed into where it is now. Like we loved going to Secrets. And so then Secrets was like, hey, why don't y'all do takeovers here? And so that's kind of what kind of birthed like Swinger Society and that part of it. Other events we've just enjoyed, our parties or clubs, we've just enjoyed going to. Like Naughty in New Orleans, we've loved Naughty in New Orleans. So we go every year and it's a great networking.
Bliss Cruise.
Bliss Cruise, we love going on the Bliss Cruise. It's another really good thing. So it's really like the things that we like, we try to do. And then the clubs that we do, it kind of is twofold. It's the clubs and places that we like, but also when we make connections and friends that own the clubs.
Some of the clubs have reached out to us, just send us an
Yeah.
email and say, hey, we see you guys on TikTok and on social media, and we think you'd have a good time if you come out to our club. We'd like to have you out here.
Yes.
And
The club tours, I do a lot on YouTube, a lot of club tours. And I think those are very helpful for people because you want to see what you're walking into. And when you
Right.
think of like a sex club, you think of some gross, dingy place. And I think like me showing behind, like kind of pulling the curtain back and showing a little bit of that, it helps people feel a little bit more comfortable knowing, okay, there's a place for me to put my purse. There's a place for me. This is where I take my alcohol. So I think a lot of clubs have reached out because they want those videos.
I think today in 2025, that's what we all do. If you're going to go on a vacation,
Yes.
you go on
Yeah.
YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and
anything.
you search it up and you find videos and you find tips and tricks and travel bloggers and things like that. So,
Yeah.
the fact that that's something that's happening in the lifestyle now, I think we were some of the first ones to start doing that. You know, John and Jackie, and there's other people that have done that too. Tom and Bunny that were prior to us, but it's a newer phenomenon. But it's something that I think people are having an expectation for.
So it's really just been like us driven, like where we want to go. We're like, oh,
Okay.
we love Hida. Let's bring our friends to Hida. We want all of our friends to see it. So it's kind of worked out that way.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, I kind of am curious as far as your expertise in the lifestyle. I think our listeners could really benefit from any tips that you can give for first timers walking into a lifestyle event, or even first timers at one of your events.
Well, I think y'all are more experts than we are. I think y'all been doing this longer.
Well, that's the funny thing. We actually just had a conversation today about being an expert in the lifestyle, and this is such a diverse community, and there's so many different ways
No two people do it alike.
to engage in it. There's no way anybody can be an expert, right? Like,
Right.
you guys have experience with polyamory. We know nothing about that. We've never really done hot wifing. So if somebody asks us a question about hot wifing, I wouldn't really know much. I'd tell them to go listen to Front Porch Swingers or somebody, because we don't really do much of that. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's anybody that can be the expert.
I think we're all just navigating and telling our stories and trying to say, listen, we fucked up when we did this, so don't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
But I
it.
think for advice, we had a call earlier today and we were talking about this, and the lady really liked it. I think so many people see a swingers club or a swingers party and they think, okay, you go and you have sex, right? And don't get me wrong, that is what we're there for. But if you are just starting out in the lifestyle, or maybe like, hey, I just want to go and see if this is even something that I would be interested in, you don't have to have sex when you go through these doors. Like, it's not a requirement. People are not gonna shun you if you don't have sex. I think it's okay to take baby steps into the lifestyle. I think, like, we have a really good friend, they're a couple, and it took them a year to like full swap, like penetration with another couple,
Yeah.
because they took it very slow. They started out by dancing with another couple, and then they would go back and talk about it, and then they would make out with another couple and go back and talk about it, and then it's slowly, then you got oral, and then it just they really worked at their own pace. And I think people need to know that that is okay. That may take you a month, that might take you 6 months, that might take you 2 nights. I mean, whatever that works for you in your relationship, I think is okay. And I think as long as when you are interacting with other couples that you meet, you just be honest. Don't lead someone to believe that you're ready to full swap when this is your first night and you're scared shitless. Just like, be honest. Like, we're new, we just got here, we're really just checking it out, we're nervous. I think that is okay, and I think people need to know that.
Yeah, I think we really do ourselves a disservice because we kind of advertise swinger clubs or swinger events as like sex parties, and that happens. But really, this is a social community where sex just happens to happen, right? These are social clubs, these are social events, and they're social with people that are open-minded and non-judgmental, but they are a safe place where if you want to engage, you can do that. But there's no requirement for that. It's very much more to me about that social environment in this open-minded space where you can be who you want to be. Nobody cares who you voted for. Nobody cares how much money you make. Nobody cares what kind of car that you drove up in and parked in the parking lot. They just want to get to know you in an authentic way and make connections. And to me, especially in today's America, I think we need more of that, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've been friends with people for sometimes over a year before I even know what they do for work, right? Before I even know, I don't know who they voted for or what their job is, how much, I don't like that in today's America. It seems like we lead with that. Like, you meet somebody, you're like, oh, hi, I'm Bob. Well, what do you do for work, Bob? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Then know Bob for Bob. Like, in that, to me, that's what I love about this community is we get to know each other for who you are first. And really the rest of it, we don't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all come for the sex, but really, I think, like, for me, the friendships is really what keeps me in the lifestyle. Like, I genuinely care about so many people that we are that we engage. Even if we don't have sex with them, I still genuinely care about a lot of these people. And I think
the difference is you go, like, America is so focused on what divides us today. But when you go to these spaces, you're really looking for what connects you first, not what
Yes.
divides you first. And it's such a
Yeah.
different approach
It's a
to
refreshing
yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
sex is the catalyst to all that,
Yeah.
which I find is amazing because so many people jump into this thinking that's where it's going immediately. And then they realize, oh, there's a whole social
The
aspect
whole
of this.
thing.
Like,
For
What?
sure.
yeah.
where
Well, it's amazing
they
to
want
me
to be
how much
friends.
kinder people are when
Yes.
sex is just somewhat on the table. And you're
Yeah.
not going to have sex with 99% of the people you meet in this space, but because it's somewhat on the table, everybody is so much
Yeah.
nicer and kinder. Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah. Well, and like Dave and I have been doing this for a long time. We went to an event this weekend. We didn't have sex with anybody. We had a lot of sex, you and I.
Yeah.
We had really good sex, you and I. We
Yeah.
had sex in playrooms. We had sex in our bed or our hotel room. We did not engage with anybody else. And that's okay. That we didn't walk away from the weekend thinking, oh, we failed. It
Yeah.
just wasn't our weekend.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It was really our fault, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
anybody else's, So
That
I-
happens.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
weekends like that where we'll go to the club and we'll just put on a show. We're
Yeah.
exhibitionists, so
Yeah.
we'll be right there in the middle beds, and
Mhm.
people will be around us checking it out, and that's
don't-
good enough for us. It's like,
Same. And I don't think people realize like that in itself. Oh my
It's hot.
gosh.
it's incredible.
It's so hot. That can last you like a month or two at
Yes.
home just
Yeah.
talking about. So like if you're wanting to get like that is something that you could do. Just take your partner. And we met a couple that she was brand new and she was pretty toasted at this party. And she was very much, and I was like, just take your husband in there and y'all have sex and listen to the sounds and
Mhm.
and just be watched. That in itself is plenty before you like make a mistake and you regret it tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's for sure.
Man.
That's for sure.
Just right quick, going back to the the content creating, how do you guys deal with things like shadow bans or trolls or
Ooh.
maybe sponsors being hesitant? Like, how do y'all deal with that? Because I know for us, our balance is I'm really nice and my wife is not so much. And so
Yeah.
whenever there's an issue, she's my bulldog.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she charges in there and she takes care of
I-
things. She doesn't want me to get my hands.
Yeah. So like
Oh.
I vet everybody. So like if somebody reaches out to us to be at a club or something like that, or wants to be a guest on the show or something, I will do a full background on who that person is, where'd that email
Yeah.
come from, just because I don't know, it's our little baby,
Yeah.
you don't want to just be like, okay, yeah, you can do this and we can do that. And it's like, nope, it's not even a
Yeah.
real person or something. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll let you talk about shadow banning and stuff because that's kind of your wheelhouse. The sponsorship, in the beginning, we wanted to have sponsors of the podcast. Just
Mhm.
like I would listen to True Crime. We talked about that a little bit before we
Yes.
started.
Yes.
And they would have all of these like sponsors, and it was very frustrating that they could get these sponsors. And then for us, because we're in the sexuality category, none of those people would even touch us.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what ended up happening is we formed genuine relationships with genuine
Mhm.
companies that are lifestyle branded that we actually really use.
That's awesome.
And so and now all of our sponsors are people that we have like we know personally, we have personal connections, we have their phone number. What's really awesome is we didn't realize we were doing that, but it in the long run is probably better.
Oh yeah.
And then, we have been very consistent. We put out a podcast once a week and now twice a week. We never missed a podcast
Mhm.
in 3.5 years. My dad passed away in April and we missed about a month. And not one of our sponsors was upset. Not one of them were mad. Like
Mhm.
one emailed us to ask a question and Dan was like, Lacy's dad passed. And he was like, I'll talk to you in a few weeks. You go handle your family. And like to me, like that moment, I was like, wow, thank God we did this. It would have been
Mhm.
so much easier to just take quick money and get these sponsorships from people that either didn't care or really didn't even want us to be a part of them because we talk about sex and being swingers. So I think in the long run, it's probably worked out for the better.
Yeah, it
you
was
got
hard early
quality.
on. And then
Yeah.
once we got the numbers up, I mean, we've had companies reach out just wanting to buy just the ad
Mhm.
space just to put whatever ads they want in, right? Kind of like a third party
Yeah.
thing. And we've turned down several of those.
And that's when we were making no money on the podcast.
Yeah.
So like turning down money was, for me, I was like, you're crazy.
But I didn't want to give up that control, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
in the long run, it's definitely been I think beneficial to us.
Yeah. And then you talk about being shadow banned and TikTok and all that.
So that's a constant battle. And I don't think probably unless you get into this space, you don't really realize that. But
Yeah.
community guidelines on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and they're all a little different, and they're all changing daily. You know what I mean? So because this is basically our full-time job, we just learn where those lines are, and then as those lines shift and change, we shift and change with it. There's kind of the cat and mouse of we used to use like hashtags like swing talk when we first started. Well, so now that a lot of those hashtags that we used early on are like banned or shadow banned. So,
Yeah.
we come up with different hashtags, or we use different words, or, we say this, but don't say that. And I can't even explain to you. I don't even know if you asked me what those words were or I don't even know if I could explain it to you. I just know because we do it every single day. And if I told you today what it is, next week would be different. And a lot of it's trial and error. I'll post a couple of videos and I'll see like, hey, normally I get 5,000 views on a video. This one's only got 500. Why is that, right? And then I'll look at it and look at the words, and then I'll be like, oh, maybe it's that word, right? So the next time I post it, I won't use that word. And if it gets good views again, I'll be like, okay, add that one to the list of words not to use in a description or in a hashtag.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also use all social media platforms. And
Mhm.
like for right now, our TikTok views are horrible.
Mhm.
But next week they might be amazing. So
Mhm.
like Dan posts all of our social media, and he posts on every platform three times, at least 3 times a day. And that's basically the bulk of his day right there.
Oh,
And
that's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah, people don't realize. So I post
That's-
3 to 5 times a day on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, Clapper, and Reddit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
3 to 5 times a day, every day.
Yeah.
And so what that's benefited us, because like what Lacy says is when we get shadow banned on TikTok, well, if our Instagram is still active, we're still getting views, we're still getting content. It's still,
Mhm.
it's still
driving,
like
still driving the machine,
if we lose an
Yeah.
account, there's been several times where we've had very large social media accounts that have been banned. And, in the beginning, I would cry. I would be devastated. But now we've kind of learned to not take it as personal, because that's just kind of part of doing business. Once one goes down, that's why we always have the others. And I can remember when like TikTok shut down for 2 days or whatever it was, and everybody was freaking out. I was like kissing Dan. I was like, thank you for making sure that you post on all these things, because we
Mhm.
still had all of these other social media, even though TikTok is probably like where people see us the most, I would say, for the most part, that Instagram. But
close to Instagram now. They're
yeah.
pretty comparable, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, I feel like it's a constant cat and mouse. Like yesterday, he posted something that wasn't bad, and it got flagged for gore, or
Yeah, like blood and gore or something.
it was,
You were wearing a red shirt. I don't know if they thought it was.
I don't
but-
know, but it
yeah.
was, and like people love my theme outfits, what I wear
Yeah.
to parties and stuff. And we've gotten to now where every time I have a theme outfit on, it flags it. So this weekend when we were at a party, I got completely ready for the party and then put like exercise clothes on, just because
Just
I
make
was
the TikTok
because
symbol.
I was physically covered, but I still looked cute. So
Yeah.
like, but to me, like I'm kind of mad because that's like whole part of like
Yeah.
for the last 4 years.
We kind of realized, okay, we can post on Instagram, we can post the images of her in her
Mhm.
sexy themes outfits, and that'll be okay. But for TikTok, she needs to make the TikTok videos
like a cat
in like leggings and a tank top,
Yeah.
because anything sexier than that will get flagged. So I mean, it's a constant
Yeah.
cat and mouse game, and it changes.
And it's
month,
frustrating
yeah.
to see other people like in thongs or like pasties like
Get
that
millions of views.
that have millions because
Yeah.
just because they're not a swinger or whatever.
Yes.
It's so
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to or I had a TikTok and I didn't have as many, and I
Mhm.
was just so devastated because I was like, man,
Yeah.
I just said one word.
Yeah. They shut
Yeah.
down. They just
They shut it
shut it down
and I was
completely.
like,
No,
Oh yeah.
no
Yeah.
appeal,
It's
no
happened
nothing.
to us so many times. And
I
like
can't
it,
even imagine.
We've probably lost 1 million followers,
Yeah.
like in the last 4
Yeah.
years.
Mhm.
Like not even exaggerating.
Wow.
and what's
Crazy.
funny is like with the girls, we have girls that work for us, and
Mhm.
when they first came to work for us, we're like, we're gonna lose accounts. It's part of it. You're gonna And then when they're like devastated, and we try to, we're like, listen, we know how you feel. We've been there.
They get like a tat,
But-
because we have
Yeah.
like swinger society
Yeah.
accounts now and
Yeah.
stuff.
They'll run.
They kind of manage those, and those have
Yeah.
gotten banned. And then they we've lost Facebook groups with 30, 40,000 people. Lost the whole
Wow.
Facebook
Oh my
group.
gosh.
Yeah.
And, we try to tell them, like, you cannot get personally attached to it. We know you are working so hard and we so appreciate it, but we're going to lose them. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of time. And it kind of comes in waves. We'll start seeing a lot of our friends losing accounts, and we're like holding our
Doing a
breath.
scrub right now. They're
We're trying
they
to,
changed the algorithms or the AI that's looking for this
Mhm.
stuff, and they're
yeah.
and it's sometimes they'll go back. Stuff that's 2 years old is all of a sudden getting
Yes.
flagged and taken down, and it's
That's
crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. My last question to you guys. What's next
Oh.
for the Swing Nation? What have you guys got coming
Oh
up? Anything?
man,
Are you gonna?
we don't even know, honestly. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff in the works right now. We've had production companies reach out to us. We can't say much more than that, but there's
Well, I can say that swinging on TV has been a huge topic over the last 4 years. I can't even tell you how many like reality, not even all reality shows, but just like different media groups
Yeah,
that
it-
like want something to do with swinging.
Right.
And I feel like and it's never happened, right?
Been it's forever.
We've entertained it, and it's definitely ramped back up. And I don't know if it's with the success of like Hunting Wives and the Mormon Wives, the Mom Talk, and now the main girl who was involved in a swinging scandal is now the Bachelorette. So I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know if it's all of that. I don't know, but we definitely have been in talks with lots of different people.
yeah.
That's
So I don't,
awesome.
and we don't know if
We don't know.
we
That's
don't
the
know
thing.
what that is.
Yeah,
so,
we
so
don't.
that could be a thing.
It could be, or it could be nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know.
We're actually getting ready. We'll tease this for the first time ever on the Beyond Monogamy podcast. We're getting ready to launch a new brand that's
Okay.
going to be doing hotel takeovers, and it's very much music festival, like EDM kind of music festival meets like lifestyle hotel takeovers.
Oh, wow.
So kind of combining those two worlds for the first. I don't know if it's the first time. There's a few other people that are doing that kind of thing, but
Think like Orgy Dome at Burning Man.
Oh.
yeah, meets
wow.
hotel takeover.
So there. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to LA in October. That's
Okay.
something that we can't. I mean, I can't say what we're doing, but we're going to LA in October.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've also signed a lot of NDAs in the last
That's okay.
couple
Yeah.
We
months.
signed our
So,
life away.
Yeah.
But like lots of good things. People are looking at their calendar for 2026 and they're like, we have like 2 events, like one event.
normally we have our whole calendar planned a year out, so people know
Yeah.
something's up. They're like,
Yeah.
"Where are all the events next year?" And it's like, "Oh, we're trying to get some stuff launched, so stay tuned."
That's
on
awesome.
it. It's coming within like, it could be days, it could be a week, it could be a month. I don't know, but we're working day and night to get it out. But that doesn't mean Swinger Society is going anywhere, or the Swing Nation. I think they all exist, just like ethical non-monogamy is an umbrella. I think there's a place for people that are more music driven. I think there's a place like for people that just want to listen to the podcast, and there's people that, are more like Swinger Society vibe. And I think that we can capture all of those, and what works for one couple might not work for the other. And I think that is okay.
I agree.
That is
And
awesome.
so lots of
Thank
things. We got our hands in
lot
lots
of
of
things.
pots.
That's
Yeah,
good.
Dathan has his hands in lots of pots, and then he just tells me what to say, basically.
That's all right.
That's the duo
That's
right
really
there.
awesome for you
but
guys.
but I mean, I
Thank you.
think if overall you look at the lifestyle and in the direction it's heading in, I think this community is going more mainstream. And I think there are people maybe that are fighting against that. And I can understand that. I think there is some that
One of those people, because I tend to want the lifestyle to be like my little.
dirty secret that nobody knows about.
Dave is like, I want to shout it from the rooftops. So
I'm
like,
like Dan. Yeah.
Yeah.
so we have to kind of like balance that. So I think there's a place for all of it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, but I think the positive thing, if you have a podcast, if you run an event group, if are doing hotel takeovers and that kind of thing, I think we're going to see this market, this community explode. I think it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and especially if you start having, like you were talking about, TV shows and things like that. I think it's going to open up people's minds to some of the possibilities, and and that might. The people that like it being their dirty little secret. I mean, it can still be your dirty little secret. You don't necessarily have to tell people.
Yeah.
But I also do think it will help those people that are in fear of getting fired from their job, or
Maybe they won't be as
don't
helpful.
right and
Yeah.
don't are worried about getting their kids taken away from them and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
To me, that's more important than people being able to have a dirty little secret.
You
You know?
can still have it if you want it.
Yeah, and I think there's still ways to have that if
Yeah.
that's what you want. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely taken more of a mainstream turn, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and I think we can thank some of the 20-year-olds, to be honest with you. I mean, I think there's a whole generation of people that are coming up that are much more acceptable of others. I think it's much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're okay with having multiple partners. They're
Yeah.
okay with like
Much more open minded. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
and so I think they're kind of, I think hopefully we're setting the stage for it, but I feel like they're like going to show us older people how it's done. And I think as we've gotten bigger and gotten to go to different places, we have definitely seen there be a shift and lots more, like lots of younger people coming. And it's exciting for me to see that happening.
Yeah. It wasn't 4 or 5 years ago. You'd go to a swingers club and it was mostly 40, 50 plus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays, even, you know, Naughty New Orleans and Bliss Cruise, you're seeing more and more 20-year-olds show up
Mhm.
30.
to these events. And so
Yeah.
I think it definitely is changing the demographic in a good way.
Yeah. Well, we love it.
Yeah.
This was a fun conversation.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
guys, it was really good to have you guys on.
Thank
Thank
you
you
we're-
for
so
having
much.
us.
All right. Well, you two are doing amazing things with Swing Nation, and we're glad our listeners got to hear your story and insights. If you're not already following them, you can find everything in one spot at beacons.ai/the Swing Nation 2. And that's going to be in our show notes as well. You can check them out at the Swinger Society. That's their event platform where you can make a profile, you can grab memberships, and you can see who's going. You can just head on over to swingersociety.net. Like I said, those links will be in our show notes.
Awesome. And don't forget, Beyond Monogamy drops new episodes every week. You can also catch us on Full Swap Radio every Thursday at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. Central Time. And of course, all of our stuff is at www.beyond-monogamy.com. Hit like, subscribe, share with your friends, and please leave us a review. It's the easiest way to help us grow with this community.
And with that, thanks for listening and supporting us week after week. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.